Hello everybody, Miss Melissa here for part 2 of our Big Kid Book Club, discussing the book Balloons Over Broadway by Melissa Sweet. And the story talks about Tony Sarg, who was the inventor of the giant Macy's Day balloons that we see during the parade every Thanksgiving. Now, while I would love to teach you how to make giant balloons that you can just use for your own parades, that's not exactly possible. So instead, I'm going to teach you how to make your own marionette puppets, much like the ones that Tony was inspired by in creating his balloon puppets for the parade. To create these puppets, we only need a few household items, which is really cool, especially these days. The only items you need are a couple of toilet paper tubes. If you don't have a couple of toilet paper tubes, but you have one large paper towel tube, that will work fine. You'll need some scissors, a couple of sticks. I have craft sticks, but if you don't have craft sticks around and you go outside and grab a couple of small sticks, those will work fine. And then some string, and I'm using yarn because thick string works a little bit better. And that string we're going to cut into 3 different pieces. We need 2 pieces that are about a foot long, and we need one really long one that is about 4.5 feet long. Now, there are also some optional materials. I have some tape and some markers to help with decorating. Also, if you have some large beads, they can help with decorating as well, but they are not necessary for the project. So, the first thing we want to do, if we have 2 tubes, we are going to be making a little, kind of like a dog. And we want to have the 2 tubes, a full tube to be the body, and in order to give the head of the dog, we are just going to cut part of the tube off to make a little shorter one, so that the tube is going to be shaped like that. So if you want to go ahead and trim, if you are using a large paper towel tube, you can cut 2 different pieces, one larger and one shorter. Now, like I said, we're going to make kind of like a little dog out of this, or it can be any 4-legged creature, really. So if you want to take some time to decorate your animal, you can do that too. I just grabbed some markers just to do some quick decorating with you. But if you have construction paper and you want to glue it, like glue polka dots on or different designs, or if you wanted to paint the tubes entirely, you can do that as well. You can paint them, let them dry before you move on to the next steps. You will see I've already cut some holes in these, so if you wanted to hold off on some of the decorating until you see how we're going to be utilizing the tubes, that's fine. But like I said, if you wanted to paint the entire tubes, you can do that before we move on to the next steps. I'm going to do just a little bit of decorating, just to kind of make it a little bit more exciting. And do that. I think I'm just going to add some polka dots to my puppy with a purple marker. Give you some time to do whatever you would like onto yours. What is your favorite balloon you like to see in the Macy's Day Parade? I know things are going to be different this year. What balloon do you look forward to the most if you've seen the parade? If you haven't seen the parade, certainly look up some videos of the parade. I'm sure your parents could help you. I got some polka dots for my little doggy body. And I'm going to draw some eyes, I think, on the face too. Like I said, the smaller piece that you have is going to be the face. So I'm just going to draw some eyes. And also, if you had googly eyes or something else that you wanted to use instead, like I said, I'm using markers so that I can do just kind of a quick job to get things moving for you. You can use anything that you have at home to decorate your little marionette. Okay, now that I've done just a little bit of decorating, I'm going to show you how to poke holes in your cardboard. I've already cut them through in mine. Excuse me. You might want to have a parent help you with this part, especially if you're going to use something sharp like scissors or a knife. A screwdriver could work well. But we are going to need to cut, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 holes in the big toilet paper tube and 2 holes in the small one. So on the toilet paper tube, we are going to need to make 4 holes on the bottom that are going to be where the legs come out. And with scissors, you can kind of push down, find a spot that you need to push down in it, and just kind of twist, because you also want to make sure you've got a wide enough hole that you're going to be able to get your string in and out of. So once you get the hole, you're just going to kind of twist it through. And like I said, you want 4, so we want 2 close together on one side and 2 close together on the other side, because that's how we're going to make the feet. Once you get those holes done on the bottom, like so, on the top half, you're going to have 1 in the center on either end, kind of in between where the feet holes were. You can see that. And that's going to be the string that holds your head on and help control the bottom of your puppet as well. So 4 on the bottom, 1, 2, 3, 4, pretty much evenly spaced as much as you can. And then on the top, 1 in the center on each end. They kind of line up with the holes on the bottom. For your head, on the front end, so whatever you want to be, actually, no, on the back end, sorry, on the back end of the head, so this is the front and this is the back, you want a hole in the center on both ends, because there's going to be a string that goes through to hold the head on. So you want them kind of lined up. And again, you do want to kind of twist to make the hole large enough that you can get, especially if you're using yarn. Yarn is kind of difficult to thread through, so you just want to make sure those holes are big enough. Now we're going to take one of those short strings, and we are going to get to the bottom, and we're going to kind of thread it into the, like I said, yarn can be a little tricky to thread, but it's what I had in the house, and it's thick enough to get the job done. So we're going to thread it into the bottom and through the other side. And if you're having trouble while you get the yarn through, like I said, just keep making that hole a little bit bigger so that you can get the yarn through. And now you will have 2 little feet sticking out. See that? And you're going to do the same thing on the other side with the other 1 foot piece of string. And we're going to get that in here. Out the other side. Now, I told you this is going to be a puppy, and right now these feet look a little loose. If you have beads, like I said, beads are a great tool. You can tie them onto the bottom. That would create your little feet. If you don't have beads, you can make little feet too, using some scraps of cardboard or anything else that you have. You can tape on some little paws. It's totally up to you. If you think the legs are too long, you can trim them, make them a little shorter. I left them long in case you have beads. You'll need a little extra space to tie them on. But there are going to be little feet to your marionette puppet. Now, we are going to move on to the big piece of yarn. Now, this big piece of yarn, we are going to find the back end, whatever you want the back side of your puppet to be, and we're going to get that top hole, and we're going to start by threading the string into that hole. I need to make my hole a little bit bigger. So we are going to thread the string in there. And we're going to string in the back end and out the front end of your animal. And you want to pull it through about, oops, so it's about even. This to be exactly even, but about even. And you've got your little puppet right here. No, it still doesn't look like much yet, but we're getting there. Now, on the front end, you want to figure out about where you want your head of the puppet to sit. You want there to be a little bit of space. So maybe give a couple of inches, find that spot right there, and you're going to take the string and you're going to tie a knot in it, right about where you want the head to sit. I'm going to keep working this knot down so it gets down to where I want it. And because I'm making these holes so big in order to string it, I'm going to just double up on that knot to make it a little bit bigger. See right there, I want to make sure it doesn't go through the hole. Oops. And see how my knot got kind of away from the other knot? I'm just going to kind of shift it down so that the knot lies up right on top of it to make it a bigger knot. And if it still doesn't look like it's going to be big enough, go ahead and do it a third time. I tried to measure out the string so you have more than you need, because it's easier to trim string at the end than to try to add it on. Alright, so now I got a kind of a big knot, but my string has shifted, so I'm going to move it back. There we go. It's about lined up. You can see my knot. And again, if it looks like it's too high, we can kind of shift the string around until we get it where I want it. And the side that has the knot now, I'm going to string it through my head, the head of the creature that I'm making, on both of those two holes that we cut through. And you'll see that knot is going to help it so that the head stays right where we want it. Now my head is a little long, so I'm going to even it out a little bit more. Yeah, I got my little creature. Now, right now I'm still just balancing these strings and it looks a little goofy. So we're going to make a controller with those sticks that I was telling you about. So get the two sticks out. You're going to have two sticks, you're going to crisscross them like I did. I already glued mine so that they had time to dry before the video. So you're going to glue them together, or if you don't have glue but you have a pipe cleaner, you can use a pipe cleaner or a wire to kind of wrap it around so it gets this cross action going. You don't necessarily need two sticks. If you only have one, that'll work fine. The two just kind of gives you a better grip when you're trying to use your puppet. But once you have your two sticks attached, we're going to get the ends of our strings and we are going to tie them to different ends of the sticks. So here's one. And again, you might want to tie it a couple of times to get it nice and, oops, stuck there. Trying to tie and also hold it up so you can see it. It's a little difficult. Oops. If you're having trouble tying it onto the string, it can also help to glue it down or glue a little piece. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little piece of tape. Just a little piece. Kind of tape it in place just so it doesn't keep moving on me. Or after you get it knotted, you can also add a little bit of glue so that it sticks. And I'm going to knot it a few times just to keep it secure. And then I'm going to trim the excess string that I have. Once you get one side, then you're going to go ahead and do the other side as well. Again, I'm going to tape it a little bit. This second side's a little bit trickier because you got to make sure that they're even. So the second side, even if you didn't tape the first side, maybe you'll want to tape the second side. And again, just a little piece of tape or glue just to help hold the string in place so it doesn't keep shifting while you're trying to tie it. But I recommend, even if you tape it in place, you still try to tie it in knots because it's a little extra security for you. Set it down so that I can get my knots in place. And again, I'm going to knot it 2 or 3 times just to make sure it's going all the way through. And trim it. And now I've got my little wand and I can control my little animal by lowering the front. I can make the front end go back, or I got my little puppet. Now, it looks like a silly animal right here. So if you did trim a toilet paper tube, you have a little bit of extra cardboard. You can use that cardboard or any other material that you have around and make some extra pieces to your creature. Like I'm going to cut out some ears and you can glue or tape them on. I'm going to tape mine on. I'm going to I think I'm going to color them purple to go with the polka dots that I made. Get my marker. And you can do all sorts of fun shapes. Or you can make accessories if you want to give your animal a crown or some other sort of prop, a silly hat. I'm just trying to give it a little bit of character. These are your puppets, so you can make them whatever you want them to be. If you'd want to keep it more simple and you don't want to give it a head at all and you just wanted it to be the body, you can do that too. Same with the legs. They don't necessarily have to have legs. This is just a general template that I'm working with, but you can adjust them to make your own, however you'd like it. So I'm doing my purple ears. I'm going to kind of fold them and tape them on to the head of my puppy. And again, I'm using tape because it's quick and easy to demonstrate, but if you don't have tape or if you prefer, you can use glue at home. It's whatever you feel comfortable crafting with. If you would prefer to make a more polished looking puppy and paint it ahead of time, you can do that. If maybe you don't want pointy ears, maybe you want big floppy ears, you can make floppy ears for your puppy or whatever creature you're making. Maybe you're making an alien and you want to give it some antenna. Creativity makes this even better, so go crazy. I got my little ears now, and I'm going to make a tail to tape on the bottom. And to make the tail even better, I'm going to curl it a little, curl it up. I'm also going to make the tail purple. So let me color the tail. hope you're coming up with some creative ideas for your projects. Oops. I think this is an extra fun project since the parade's going to look a little different this year and there might not be as much floats and things to look at. Create your own little Macy's Day Parade at home with all these different creations you're making. And just because I'm teaching you how to make one doesn't mean you can't go out and make a whole bunch of others and parade around your yard. All right, so I made my little tail. It's curving upward. Here's my puppy. I can make it go up and down and look around. The tail's kind of lost, but there it is. There's the tail. And like I said, if I had some beads around, I would tie some beads on. You could also make some little feet with some more of the cardboard and tape them on. Totally up to you. And with your, oh, I got my yarn all tangled. But you can use your handle to, I hope you're having fun making these puppets with me. I hope you learned a lot from the book Balloons Over Broadway. If you missed the story or you just really liked it, or maybe you're interested in reading some of that Arthur notes at the back, it is available at the library. And if we don't have it at our library, we can request it from another library for you. One of the glorious tools that we have on hand in the Ocean State Library system. I hope you love your marionettes. And if you are interested, I would love to see pictures of them. Please feel free to email them to me at egchildren@gmail.com. Thank you so much for participating. Stay tuned. I hope to have another Big Kid story time or Big Kid book club next month. Till next time, bye everybody.